welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Wow, it's the old Skeptic Zone theme. I thought I'd put that into retirement about a year back. Oh, well, you know how it is. Get them out once in a while, give them a run through the paddocks, through the internet, and put it back into the stable. Maybe we'll hear that theme once again sometime in the distant future. Hello, it's Richard Saunders here. It's episode number 162 of the Skeptic Zone on the 26th of November 2011. What a show we have lined up for you this week. Now, last weekend, the Australian Skeptics held their annual convention. Last year, of course, it was combined with TAM Australia, and that was a huge success. This year, it was a bit more low-key, not being a TAM, and we had it at the Australian Museum. Just the one-day convention. What a great time. Great time had by all, especially by Maynard, who was running around with his microphone. Lots of interviews coming up from the Australian Skeptics National Convention over the coming weeks. And after those bits and pieces from Maynard, it's the welcome return of Reality Bites with Joanne Benhamu. And Joanne's going to be looking, this week, she's going to be looking at apricot kernels. And the risk of toxicity and cancer claims and all sorts of things like that coming up in Reality Bites. And then following that, of course, it's the think tank. But not at our club down the end of the street. We go to a mystery location. Yes, a mystery location. Keep listening to the Skeptic Zone and find out where we end up. Thank you for all those people, by the way, writing to me who've discovered skepticism for the first time by seeing me appear on the television show The One. The One which just wrapped up. The final show went to air in the past week. And if you're interested, the winner, as voted by the great Australian public, was Greg Briley from Victoria. There you are, Greg, winner of The One. But thank you to everybody who's been writing into me saying, well, not always nice things, but lots of nice things, actually. I'm pleased to say mostly nice things. And how they've gone on to discover things like the Australian Skeptics, and even so far as finding other podcasts, and even this podcast. So that's all good, and I'm very pleased to hear about that. Some more interesting and exciting news coming up over the summer break here in Australia, the winter break in the Northern Hemisphere, is our friend and reporter Maynard. Looks like he's got a new show which will be appearing on ABC Radio. That's exciting stuff. And with special guests, maybe even, me and Dr Rachie. We'll see. More news about that pretty soon, but we're all hoping that comes off for Maynard. That should be very interesting and exciting for people in Australia and, of course, with the internet these days, people around the world. And don't forget, we still have the appeal for Maynard to get funds for him to come with us to TAM 10 in Las Vegas. So Rachel and I and Joe and Eran can, not run around like crazy trying to get lots of interviews. We'll let Maynard do the running around for you on your behalf and on our behalf and getting all those great interviews. And soon we'll be auctioning off a poster filled with famous skeptical autographs. Oh boy, everyone from Joe Nickel to the Skeptic Zone team to Ben Radford, Steve Novella, Rebecca Watson's on there, even Maynard himself. And lots of other names I'll be telling you about soon. Look out for that coming up. That'll be auctioned off. There are a couple, actually. But we'll be starting off with one. All benefits going to help us get Maynard over to Las Vegas, where I think he'll feel right at home. Well, I'm going to feel right at home. I'm going to run downstairs. One of these days I'm going to trip if I keep running down those stairs. I'm going to run downstairs. I'm going to run to the coffee plunger. I'm going to have a nice cup of Obama blend coffee as as bought here in Sydney, in Newtown. Obama blend coffee. Oh, yes. Now, this is a mixture of coffees from Africa and the Americas. As you can find at Campo's Coffee here in Newtown. I'll do that. And while I'm doing that, sipping my coffee, I'll let you enjoy the Skeptic Zone.
Here's Maynard's spooky action at a distance.
Well, people, it's all happening here at the Australian Skeptics National Convention 2011. I can read that off the screen. If you want to know the difference between a apotheosis and a catharsis, these are the people to ask. And I'm right at the back in the naughty seats with
Dr Krissy Wilson.
Now, hi. Look, we're right up the back. Do you normally hang out up the back at these kind of things? You can get up to nonsense and carry on a bit up the back.
Always. I always like to be hidden, well away from trouble, especially something like this. Yeah, definitely. I hate being asked questions. For example, I have no idea what the difference is between apotheosis and catharsis. I can't even say either of them.
Oh, they're both great words to drop. I like introducing little things like that into the Skeptic Zone. I have brought the great Cambrian explosion conundrum here before, and I have asked for evidence of extraterrestrials on the show, but sadly we haven't had any yet.
Oh, I've got a good one. One I always give my students is etiological criteria. That always impresses people at dinner parties. Etiological criteria, it means what's the cause of something. So what's the etiology of depression, for example? So etiological criteria, nice one to drop in. It will impress everybody.
Hey, so as you're a professional, I had not as much sleep last night because I was really stressed. I had 2 coffees this morning, and I feel mildly like a panic attack. I've got pins and needles and stuff. Is that the coffee and the lack of sleep?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, how strong was the coffee? Did you have milk and sugar in the coffee, or was it black?
2 really strong black coffees.
Coffee will do that. It's a drug.
Yeah? It stimulates you and just goes, is that it?
Absolutely. When I was doing my PhD many years ago, I lived on coffee because it kept me going and I was buzzing for days and days and days. So, yeah, don't drink coffee if you want to be relaxed and chilled for the day.
But if you want to wake up, which is what I did, yeah. But anyway, look, it's quite a relaxing venue here. This is really good. What are you going to be telling people about today?
I'm a psychology lecturer at Charles Sturt University, based in Albury, and my area of research is the psychology of belief, why people believe in weird and wonderful things. So all the psychological and in some cases physiological reasons why people believe in this stuff. The area is actually called anomalistic psychology, and your listeners will have heard me mention this before. So it's not the same as parapsychology. Obviously, parapsychology, as everybody listening will know, is very sort of friendly, very sympathetic towards the idea that psi exists, and parapsychologists have basically spent 100 years trying to prove this stuff is real. Anomalistic psychology is absolutely skeptical in nature, and as I said, it's looking at the psychological and in some cases physiological reasons why some people believe in all this weird and wonderful stuff. So that's what I investigate. That's what I'm doing.
So you reckon you could take Michael Shermer in a fight?
Oh, I'd like to take Michael Shermer anywhere, frankly. I've always had a bit of a crush on him, actually. I hope he's listening. Michael, give me a call.
And what is the best example of your work you could give us right now? I mean, what is the common belief that you usually use as the example?
Well, okay, that's a good question. I think my main thesis, if you like, is that we're all actually believers. And again, your listeners will, those of them that have seen me give talks and so on in conventions, what have you, and at TAM, will know that this is something that I bang on about all the time. That the skeptics tend to think that believers are a particular kind of species, that there's something fundamentally wrong with the way they think and how they process information, etc. But in reality, that's not actually the case. Skeptics are believers as well. I mean, we believe in skepticism, we believe in science. Now, these are all human activities, and wherever you have humans, taking part in any kind of activity, you're going to have bias, you're going to have all kinds of subjective problems associated with it. And so we believe as well, and my main thrust, my main argument, if you like, is that we all believe in something. We all believe in something. And that there are not specific differences between believers, that it's something that may possibly even be innate. So we may possibly be born with this need, this desire to believe in something, because if we believe, we belong, and if we belong, we feel stronger. So it might have some kind of adaptive purpose. Anyway, that's my sort of thrust of my argument. At the moment, I can't get too many academics that believe me, that will agree with me. But that's the kind of thing I'm working on, how belief in various things can actually be useful. It can actually help us cope with life.
So what is the key to having someone change their belief if it's shown to be wrong? How do you... Because that's pretty big... That's a cathartic moment if you actually have to change your belief. And how can you... If someone really believes it and they're not open to the facts, how do you do that?
Well, I'm not sure that you can, as actually that came up in the previous talk. I'm not sure that you can. It's very hard to convince someone who believes in Yetis or talking to the dead. Very hard to convince them that it's not actually the case. And again, I've said this many times before, that it only takes a little bit of evidence to convince people of anything. You know, human self-deception. We're all capable of that. We can be convinced of pretty much anything with the smallest piece of evidence. So to convince someone of the opposite of their beliefs, I think that's actually very difficult to do, because we're talking about a lot of complex psychological variables here too. There's lots of reasons why people believe in stuff. It's quite complex, and to turn someone away from that is more than just simple rational thinking. You know, it's more than just trying to encourage rational thinking, far more than that.
Now, when have you had a belief that you had to chuck away? Come on. Well, earlier, for example, I actually used to buy that magic water that they showed on the screen earlier in the belief that it would help my parents' arthritis.
Oh, no.
I actually used to believe that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything like that. Oh, well, I do... Bizarrely, now this is bizarre, I do actually have, and I apologise, listeners, about this, but I do actually have a lucky number. Well, it's not so much lucky that it just follows me around. 58, 58, it just seems to follow me around everywhere.
That's interesting. And how long have you noticed this number popping up?
Well, since I was born, because it's actually my birthday, 5/8. Not the year 58, but the 5th of August. Oh. So, it just seems to follow me around, like addresses, postcodes, number plates, driver's licence, even my equity card, British Actors Equity Card. It was 5858, which was weird.
Wow.
Weird.
Maybe someone from another realm is trying to communicate with you by coincidence.
Quite possibly, yeah. No, don't worry though. I'm not. There's no chance that I'm going to be turning to the dark side anytime yet. No.
Well, look. Good luck with the working to this crowd. They're a pretty good crowd, but something could happen. And look, like I always say at these things, I want someone to get up there, go crazy, and get dragged out. Do you think that'll be happening today?
I don't think so. No.
I really want to see that at a Skeptic Times, with someone just suddenly goes and have to get taken out.
No, I don't think so. No. We're all far too rational for that.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, well, look, I'll get back to my catharsis. Thanks for your time.
Okay, great. Good to see you, Maynard.
Look, we're out here in the foyer at the Australian Museum, and you could just cut the tension with something that you'd find in the museum shop. And who have we got here today?
Hi, this is Kieran. I'm from Melbourne.
Hey, all the way from Melbourne. Now, did you motorbike it? Did you walk, hitchhike?
The plane.
Ah.
Yes.
And now, what have you thought of what you've heard so far? Because it's a really big day here, and have you got the right shirt on? Colourful and sceptical.
It's almost as loud as yours, Maynard.
Yeah, well, I had to wear something loud so people can seek me out to say some stuff. But is there something you're looking forward to today?
The dinner looks good. I'm looking forward to the dinner, definitely. I'm definitely a fan of Lawrence Leung, so that'll be good, hopefully. So far today it's still only the morning, so only a couple of talks so far. But
and what is your area? What's your skeptical area you like delving and mucking around with?
I really sink my teeth into religion, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So could you be described as, hang on, I got a word here, an anti-theist?
Probably. Atheist is a definition that suits me fine, I think. But, there's so many definitions out there, and they all pretty much overlap.
No, So you've obviously looked at a few theologies. What's your favourite god that you like to look at and the effect on people?
My favourite what?
God. Your favourite god.
My favourite god.
Which of the gods is your favourite?
I like Thor. He's definitely a favourite god.
And what an outfit.
And what an outfit, Jesus, of course, was nailed to a cross, and Thor carries a hammer, You figure it out.
And look, at any time, he could go to a gay dance party in that outfit. At any time. Thor just turns up, they go, whoa.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. And what was his hammer supposed to be made from, by the way?
I don't know. Was it made of
and this also gets it into ancient astronaut theory as well, because, a god with a mighty hammer could have been some technology, misinterpreted by the ancients?
It could have been, but probably not. No. There's very little evidence for this, Maynard.
Okay, well. And that's the end of that conversation, people. Have a good day.
Cheers, Maynard. Thank you.
We're here in the lunchroom. Who am I talking to?
My name's Jayson Cooke, and I'm the current president of the Griffith University Skeptics and Freethinkers.
Oh, so has it been the conference worth the kilometres today?
Definitely. Really informative, really fun, excellent conference.
Look, only halfway through. What's been the best bit?
Wow. I particularly liked the last speaker, which was about science journalism and the decline or dumbing down of science journalism. I'm currently studying journalism and would like to get into the science area.
So when was the last time you went, when you were reading a science journalism article? Yeah, recently?
Most likely this morning. It's a daily occurrence.
It's usually the facts are wrong, or it's poorly written, or?
A little bit of both. There can be facts wrong, or sometimes it just doesn't seem to make sense. There'll be something, or a contradiction, or terminology that they've sort of tried to use the language of science but without the understanding of it. So it's almost like a poor translation. When you do a translation program of a language other than English and it comes back as English and doesn't make sense? That.
Do you think it's just mainly they're rushing for a deadline, or they're just sloppy, or sometimes is there an agenda they're pushing?
It can be all of the above. There's always the deadline issue, which is getting harder and harder and harder, and that's across all journalism. But yeah, in the general public, there seems to be a problem with science literacy. I say seems to be. There's definitely a problem with science literacy. A subsection of that public will become science journalists. It's just the same problem flowing on.
And what issues are you skeptics at the Griffith University looking at the moment? Or what's ringing your bell up that way?
At the moment, in Queensland, we always have young Earth creationists. Always. There's always the anti-vaccination network. Because they're in northern New South Wales, they're not that far from where we're based. So we're always keeping an eye on them and trying to inform people of what they're doing. Homeopathy, I regularly take hundreds of homeopathic sleeping pills for no effect whatsoever, except to demonstrate it.
I did actually see on the Dr Rachie's talk earlier, she was talking about homeopathic cures for breast cancer, and I noticed actually one of the herbs, Thuja, Thuja, it actually, I think, does have some topical effect. If you put it onto a wound, I think it can be helpful in a topical form, but not when diluted. But I thought, hang on, that's one herb that actually does do something if directly applied to something.
Yeah, well, a lot of herbs are. That's where we get medicine from. Paracetamol is derived from the bark of a willow tree, I think. That's where medicine comes from. But it's sort of a problem to reject all natural medicine or all alternative or all complementary medicines. However, we need to test them to see if they work. And if we test them and they don't work, then they don't work. Unfortunately, at the moment, they're not being adequately tested, although those that are adequately tested are shown not to work, but they're for sale, and the general public doesn't know this sort of thing.
And what would be your dream science writing job? Would you like to work for the ABC Science Unit or for a commercial paper?
Definitely the ABC. That's sort of my pinnacle. I like to do the Hannibal Lecter voice, and one day, all the way to the ABC.
It was interesting, the chat about science writing. It's good to have a science department. But as I've discovered working at the ABC, sometimes if you're not in the science department and you want to do a science story, there's a little bit of a ghettoisation. It's like, oh no, you better not do that science story. The science unit does that. And certainly they would do it in a more informed way, but it does block some lighter science stories getting through.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And any science department can make mistakes. Like, we're all fallible, we all make mistakes. A lot of what we do in the skeptic community is not just have scientists. For instance, a magician might be able to look at something. James Randi's a great example of this. He'll look at something and he can see where a mistake has been made, that a normal scientist won't be able to necessarily pick that up. There's a lot of psychology involved, how we fool ourselves, how we're deceived. That's not necessarily something you're going to learn by becoming a chemist or a physicist. You learn the methodology of science, which is vital and probably the most important thing. However, unless you have critical thinking, unless you have an understanding of how we can be fooled, how we can be deceived, sometimes being a scientist isn't enough.
And what's the best way we can contact your skeptical group online? You've got a great website with flash things that pop out and things that...
We have a website. You can find our blog, which is www.gussf.com. Complicated. But also, if you just Google Griffith University Skeptics, or if you Google my name, Jayson, Jayson, Cooke, Cooke, you can find our stuff everywhere, all over the internet.
Well, enjoy the rest of the day, and good luck with that future job at the ABC Science Unit.
Definitely. Fingers crossed.
This is James Randi, and you're listening to The Skeptic Zone.
Hi, this is Carrie Poppy.
I'm Ross Blotcher.
Oh, hey, Ross.
Hey, we're from a podcast called
Oh No, Ross and Carrie.
We find out what happens when you show up and ask questions.
We've hung out with the Kabbalists,
The Mormons.
We've gone and gotten ear candles.
Gone to the Sikhs.
We show up so you don't have to.
So find out where we're going next.
We'll even have special episodes where we have famous guests like Brian Dalton from Mr. Deity.
You heard that awesome theme music? He wrote that.
You should come visit us at onopodcast.com or
facebook.com/onrack.
What the hell's OnRack, Ross?
ONRAC.
Oh no, Ross and Carrie.
That's our show.
That's so smart. Come join us.
Here's some food for thought. It's Reality Bites with Joanne Benhamu.
Food Standards Australia and New Zealand reiterated warnings last week about potentially toxic raw apricot kernels being sold for consumption online and in health food stores. This move came in response to Chai Tree, an alternative health company in Victoria, who have reintroduced the kernels to the market following initially participating in a recall issued by FSANZ. The company stated on its website that, quote, the consumption of raw apricot kernels may result in adverse reactions. Raw apricot kernels contain amygdalin, which releases naturally occurring hydrocyanic acid. This is toxic in excess. It is the advice of Food Standards Australia, New Zealand and the Department of Health that they not be consumed. Please use responsibly. An archived version of the same website from 2006 states, unfortunately, due to certain regulations imposed by governing bodies, we can't educate you on the therapeutic properties of apricot kernels. However, we will happily direct you to any necessary information. They provide links to websites including Cure Zone, B17 and Apricot Power, all of which promote the use of amygdalin to treat cancer and claim that the medical establishment has tried to suppress it. An initial warning had been issued earlier in November when FSANZ placed a recall on kernels sold by Chai Tree after a Queensland man became unwell. The tested product was found to contain high levels of hydrocyanic acid. Hydrocyanic acid is cyanide, and yet the kernels are touted by some alternative health proponents as a treatment for cancer. Toxicity is increased by oral consumption due to the way our bodies metabolize amygdalin, which is also found in other fruit pits and seeds, such as almonds and cherries. The bitter form of the pits is popular with those seeking alternative treatments, as they contain higher levels of amygdalin. Speaking to the Age newspaper, Professor Ian Olver of the Cancer Council stated that many people think that if it's derived from a fruit, then it can't be too harmful. But in this case, it can be. People are known to consume up to 50 pits per day, but even a small number may be harmful. Speaking to Hospitality magazine, Alan Cootes of the New South Wales Food Authority stated, "At the level of hydrocyanic acid detected in this product, only a small number of apricot kernels would need to be consumed to reach potentially unsafe levels, according to published toxicity data." Health claims surrounding this substance date back to Russia in the mid-1800s, gaining popularity in the 1950s when Dr Ernst T. Krebs Sr. and his son, Ernst T. Krebs Jr., promoted the use of a synthesized form of amygdalin to treat cancer. Krebs Sr. and son had a long history of promoting various substances as cancer cures and are notable figures in the history of cancer quackery. Krebs claimed that cancerous cells are rich in an enzyme which causes release of cyanide from amygdalin, killing the cancerous tissue. Healthy tissue is spared by another enzyme which deactivates the cyanide. When authorities tried to ban it, Krebs rebranded amygdalin as vitamin B17 or laetrile, claiming a deficiency of the vitamin led to cancer. Like other pseudoscientific theories, the claimed mechanism of action has never been shown to have scientific plausibility. A 2006 review from the Cochrane collaboration concluded that claims of benefit for cancer patients are not supported by data from controlled clinical trials. A 1982 trial of 175 patients found that in all but one patient, tumours increased in size following treatment, with authors concluding that it is a toxic drug that is not effective as a cancer treatment. There have been numerous cases of patients seeking treatment with laetrile, most notably the late Steve McQueen. He had travelled to Mexico seeking alternative treatments for a mesothelioma diagnosis he received in 1979. He reportedly underwent a punishing regime, including up to 50 daily vitamins, coffee enemas, and laetrile. McQueen died shortly after claiming recovery, having failed to respond to any of these treatments. Another harrowing case was that of 2-year-old Chad Green, whose parents fled to Mexico against court orders, seeking alternative treatment for his leukemia, which had responded well to chemotherapy. Chad's death suggested cyanide poisoning, but the Quackwatch website notes that Dr Contreras, a noted proponent of laetrile therapy, claimed he had died of leukemia and was a good example of the effectiveness of laetrile because he had died a pleasant death. In 1975, a class action lawsuit attempted to force the FDA to allow terminal cancer patients to obtain laetrile. The case was initially successful, but in 1979, the US Supreme Court rejected the argument that terminal patients be exempted from FDA regulation. While it has been banned for sale in many countries, hospitals in Mexico, such as the Oasis of Hope Cancer Hospital, continue to offer it as a treatment, and many websites offering alternative cancer cures promote its use. The Cancer Council are calling for a ban on the kernels.
Now on Belfast FM, we turn to the personal ads. Easygoing and confident skeptic seeks other critical thinkers for fun, laughter and good times. Must be willing to apply logic liberally and a good listener. Expect something new and interesting every month. Come and meet me in Belfast in Northern Ireland. If this sounds like you, check out my profile on belfastskeptics.com. Music by Kevin MacLeod.
Join us now for Drinking Skeptically in the Think Tank.
The thought of the cut being made. Yeah. The cuts themselves didn't bother me. It was the thought of that.
Richard is recording us now.
Hello, Joe. Hello, Eran. Hello, Dr Rachie. And welcome to this interesting think tank we have for you this week. We're not coming to you from our favourite club down the end of the street. Indeed, we're coming to you from Eran Segev's lounge room, come office sort of utility sort of.
Until we finish renovating, this is the office as well as the lounge room.
So we've decided to come to a completely different part of Sydney town today.
Thanks to a bunch of nanas and my numpty RSL.
We were going to be in another club, but it didn't quite work out. So here we are nevertheless, and I must say that the biggest thing that's happened, and as listeners know, earlier in the show, was our little convention. And what a great success that was.
It was.
Very, very good.
I think we all enjoyed taking part of that, and the dinner was great. Good fun all around. And thank you, Eran, for doing the lion's share of the work to get that together.
Thank you.
It was really great.
I have to say the highlight for me was Peter Doherty's talk. It was just absolutely fantastic.
He's brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, it was just so inspiring.
That was very good. And I also like Peter Hatfield.
Yes.
Potholder, 54.
Potholder 54.
That was great to see him. And Dr Rachie, of course, gave a great talk.
I have to say I liked the panel most.
Well,
I wonder why.
Sorry, I'm a little bit sick and I probably sound like Sylvia Brown at the moment.
Yeah, she's coughing all over
as we speak, Rachel has got a little worm.
Speaking of worms.
Look. It's a little worm was just crawling on your shoulder.
I'll let it out.
Don't nom it. Now, the panel that we were... there it goes out the door. It was like one of these little caterpillar type ones.
It took a little inchworm.
Yeah.
I probably would have got around to my...
I feel like I've just participated in a worm edition of Free Willy.
The panel that we were discussing just now from our national convention was sort of a health panel.
It was about, the title was Regulating Alternative Medicine, or Regulating Medicine. And the moderator was Christopher Zinn from Choice.
Yeah, good.
He was so good, wasn't he?
He was very good.
He's done it a lot. He's done that a few times before, but he was very good.
He was very good, yes.
And I should point out that the Choice have just given an honorary shunky or a dishonourable mention in the shunkies to the TGA, which is good because one of the members of the panel was Rowan Hammett, Dr. Rowan Hammett, who is the national head of the TGA, which was, I thought, a nice coup for us. We also had Marcus Betsy, who is the head of the compliance unit with the ACCC, and Ken Harvey, which is this thorn in their side.
A serial complainer.
And he continued to do that at the panel, and I thought it was a great
just to remind listeners, of course, the TGA is the Therapeutic Goods Administration.
It's the equivalent of the FDA. In the States, or I guess the NHS. Not really the NHS, but...
Yeah.
What's the equivalent in the
FDA.
UK?
It's more...
Yeah.
Actually...
No, it's in the UK, it's something longer.
It's the
medicine, medicine and health regulatory something.
MRSA. No, that's slightly different.
MHRA. Something like MHRA or something. I'm sorry, I have some emails with Alan Ennis and... mention it, but
the ACCC stands for the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like in America, is sort of like the FTC.
Is this how many acronyms can we throw into a think tank?
But the point is, I guess,
everything from A to
how many
Z.
TLAs you can throw into a single.
The ACCC is the organisation in Australia that actually does stuff and has teeth, and the TGA, and is the paper tiger, as Ken was saying. But I thought it was so interesting that Ken gave the first presentation, because the panel was such that each person gave 10 minutes, and then there was a discussion. And Ken started off just slamming the TGA and actually put up a picture of an origami tiger and had a big name next to it, Paper Tiger TGA. And I think Rowan Hammett didn't look particularly comfortable for the hour and a half that he sat there.
He shouldn't have been.
No, I mean, good on him for turning up. At one point I did feel a little bit sorry for him, but then he started spouting logical fallacies about, but people die of paracetamol overdoses every year, so leave Cam alone.
I said this to you before.
Basically, I think the gist of what he was saying, and at some level I could kind of get what he was saying, but doesn't actually, to me, justify the situation. The argument seems to be that CAM is seen as being low risk, and therefore the way the TGA handles it is to say it's low risk, and therefore at some level we're comfortable with the situation of low risk products not having as much scrutiny and oversight compared to high risk things like, oh, look over here, medications cause all these problems and people die from medications every year, and therefore we have to focus more over there. And that just doesn't cut it for me. As far as I'm concerned, it's still... There are still significant risks from all of those things.
He was changing the subject.
But he was also making excuses, because the thing is, they're not doing the other part as well, which we know as of the last couple of days, there's a big issue with the hip replacements. So, and we know there's been issues with Nurofen, with the advertising for Nurofen. It's not like they're doing such a good job on the high risk medicine side either.
Right.
And I think part of the problem is with Dr. Hammett is that he does find excuses, and we saw that recently with the issue with the audit. So the way it works, just very generally, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rach, we have two types of registration. OST-R, registered products. Yep. They're the ones that are like normal medications, basically, and they have to go through all the double-blind testing and phase 1, 2, 3, and all those things, and with monitoring continuing through phase 4, and those are the registered products. The listed products, which have an OST-L number, are simply declared by their sponsors that they include a certain ingredients that are part of a list of pre-approved ingredients that are low risk. And they make the claims. They actually write this free text that they can put in that explains what the product does. But nobody really holds them to account in terms of actually. Oh, and they say we have the evidence.
Yeah, and you can do it all online.
But basically, you can do it all online. You pay $198 or something, and you get the number.
It's about $1,000 actually.
Oh, okay.
Is it?
Yeah, $800 and something.
Well, that makes a huge difference.
Yes, because clinical trials are about the same amount of money. I think
exactly.
So. It's very cool.
So. Yeah, I remember Pfizer's budget, clinical research budget, I think is $6.2 billion a year or something. It's just something ridiculous of that sort. Yeah. So anyway, the thing is what they do with the listed products is that they're supposed to audit a certain number every year, and in a recent audit they found that 90% were non-compliant. Now, some of them were non-compliant on trivial matters like the size of certain things on the label.
The typeface and stuff.
Yeah. So some of them were, or some things missing. But the point is that, first of all, 90% of them were found to be non-compliant. But within those 90%, the vast majority were also non-compliant on many other ways, on many other things, some of which are quite serious. But when Rowan Hammett was interviewed on the radio about it, he said, most of them were trivial, most of them were things like labeling and stuff like that, which is patently not true. I mean, the numbers are out there, and it's just not true that the majority are minor things. The majority are actually.
Can I make a further point on that too, in terms of obfuscation with respect to Dr. Hammett? That audit only covered a very small percentage of the 10,000 products that are listed.
Absolutely.
So in the very small amount that they audited, 90% didn't comply. And the TGA's excuse after that too was, well, we only actually covered a small number, so if we actually audited more, it probably would, revert to the mean. No. If you started off with 90% wrong, it's unlikely you're going to go back to 10%. If you increase the number of products that you audit.
It's just ridiculous.
But that's the kind of obfuscation and rhetoric that he was using on Saturday, wasn't it?
He was, yes.
Just to get out of every question and every excuse in the world he could make.
A lot of people making the comment that he sounded like a typical politician.
Look, I don't know. I don't know whether you'd agree with me, but the thing that gets me is let's assume that all of these products are utterly low risk, that they really, there is nothing in them that could cause any harm, and that's all fine. The fact remains, and what still bothers me, is that I'm not comfortable with the fact that the TGA would have an attitude that low risk in terms of physical harm, which is obviously important, means therefore it's okay with consumers who may be too naive to know better being ripped off.
But I think actually that's not the TGA. The problem is the law. The TGA should enforce what the law says. Okay, there is a problem with the law that actually has the whole listed thing is just ridiculous, because it gives them an air. There's an air of being endorsed and approved by the TGA, which is absolutely ridiculous. Anybody who knows how the system works knows that it hasn't been approved, or these products haven't been approved. So I think that's a problem with the law. But the problem is that within the law, there's things they can do to make things better, and they don't.
The topic of ear candles came up as an example to him, and his attitude was, if we delist one of them, then they just alter the claims and list it again. And
and he kept on saying, as if this would make us feel better. And I mean, seriously, he was sitting facing 120 skeptics. 140. Some of whom have read the legislation, some of whom have read the national audit and know it quite well, and saying, but you guys are really awesome because you need to keep complaining and then we can do stuff about it. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. You should be proactive about this. And what does he expect us all to go, then it's okay then, because we're all really good and we make complaints.
I'm here to talk to you, thank you for doing my job for you.
Yeah, and we know where those complaints go, into a dirty big black hole. We don't, I mean, this just drives me insane. But, I blogged about this a couple of days ago, where there was a Freedom of Information Act passed, granted on a piece of data from the TGA, which was basically a list of sponsors that had breached the legislation. And somebody said, look, I need to know which ones have breached and why. And they released this document, and I swear to God, it is...
It's beautiful.
It is... They're like,
maybe you can put it on...
It's blog, right?
Yeah, it's on my blog. It's the current post.
The Skeptics Book of Poo-Poo blog.
Yeah.
Right?
It's got the name of it says the ARTG TGA, and then it's got a fax mark at the bottom, and the middle is a black rectangle. That's...
The entire thing's been redacted.
Filled in.
It's been redacted to the point where you can see the frame of the page.
Yes, yeah. And that's their transparency. It's just... absolutely hopeless.
Joe, your highlighter has been busy.
It's been so busy. I know. I had awesome fun with my highlighter this week.
I can tell from here.
It's only one colour. Only one colour though. And I don't know. I've got two really interesting stories this week, so I'm just trying to decide which one.
Well, the most interesting one.
Oh, they both are. They both are. How about I start with this one? You might have seen this on Twitter if you read The Guardian, if you follow George Monbiot, if I pronounce his name correctly. He's a journalist who writes for The Guardian, and he wrote a really interesting piece in The Guardian a couple of days ago. It's really, really worrying, actually. And a gentleman by the name of Dr Christopher Busby, who is a visiting professor at the University of Ulster and also is the former science and technology spokesman for the Green Party in the UK, is basically promoting anti-radiation pills to people in Japan who were affected by Fukushima.
Yeah.
Now, what's particularly concerning about all this is that you should I really, really recommend that you read the two articles that he wrote, because they're just, it's really good journalism, very, very interesting. But he's selling a range of mineral supplements, urine tests, and food tests to the Japanese population, all at rather exorbitant prices. So Busby runs a company called Busby Laboratories, which are providing these tests, and he's promoting them through an organisation called the Christopher Busby Foundation for Children of Fukushima. And both the pills and the tests are being sold through a website in California called foryou-detox.com. Now, what's particularly ugly about this whole thing, aside from the fact that there is absolutely no evidence for what he's doing, is that he's also making some really, really ugly claims about what's going on in Japan, by what's being done by the Japanese government. he warns in these videos which he's put online of a public health catastrophe in Japan caused by the Fukushima disaster, and he claims that radioactive cesium will destroy the heart muscles of Japanese children, which there is absolutely no evidence for.
Just the heart muscles, because that's different muscles.
Specifically. He alleges that, and I'm quoting directly from the article here, he alleges that the Japanese government is trucking radioactive material from the Fukushima site all over Japan in order to increase the cancer rate in the whole of Japan so that there will be no control group of children unaffected by the disaster, in order to help the Japanese government prevent potential lawsuits from people whose health may have been affected by the radiation.
This is the part where we move away from detox pills into... was it lithium? What do you give people who are
lithium,
antipsychotics?
Yeah, antipsychotics. I mean, clearly, this is...
Where do you find them, Joe? Good grief.
I know. Look, this guy's got a long history of being associated with the Green Party in the UK, and in fact, this was the comment made by George Monbiot, which is that the claims of this man are doing serious damage to the Green Party by association. Apparently, he had a history in the past of claiming that there was a leukemia cluster amongst children living in Wales. Interestingly, what he said here is that his findings were self-published and released by the environmental consultancy and research organisation that he runs, so they've never been subject to peer review, and that when his claims were scrutinised by scientists, this is very interesting. His statistical mistakes were so astonishing that he counted the overall leukemia incidence for Wales twice. Mixed up the figures from urban areas with those from small rural areas, claimed there were 10 cases of leukemia in young children in this particular area, when in reality there was just one case. And as he says here, worst of all, they found clear evidence of data dredging, which renders all subsequent statistical inference spurious.
Is that like cherry picking?
How would you describe it?
Data dredging.
Data dredging.
It's like data mining, which is like cherry picking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this man is just making these claims, but in addition to that, he's selling these...
he's making shit up.
He's basically making shit up. But he's charging people a phenomenal amount of money. He's charging thousands and thousands of dollars for these tests. I mean, he's charging, like, for a urine test.
It's the old story, isn't it? We've heard this so many times before.
Yeah,
it's another... I mean, it's just one. I mean, and you know what the amazing thing is? We hear this story time and again, and did you notice how often it happens? This is when there's some terrible tragedy, and these people are preying on human misery.
Yes.
It's just
absolutely
appalling.
Well, but what I found particularly important...
Does he have a TGA listing?
What I found particularly important about what was being said was that he touches on the fact that the green movement needs to really distance themselves from people like this.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've looked at things like the issues of GM food, and I think a lot of people really want to be able to support the environmental movement in terms of dealing with climate change and so on. But when we see the environmental side supporting really anti-science stuff, it makes it very, very hard to get on board.
Well, no.
And I really, really applaud this article that he wrote. This is on the Guardian website. There's two articles by George Monbiot, and he's on Twitter as well.
Worth a look, listeners?
Definitely worth a look.
And what is your other highlighted masterpiece?
So my other highlighted masterpiece...
before you go on the highlighted masterpiece, do you want to hear Joe squee?
Oh, God, I'm just going to move over.
Folks, let me just explain what happened. From behind his back, Eran produced a whole big container of Sharpie highlighters in all different colours.
Sharpie highlighters.
Yes. I'm taking the microphone far away because Joe is overexcited. She is now holding up the container of Sharpie highlighters. There must be like 20 there. Greens and blues and yellows and reds. And Rachel is about to take a picture of her. Now,
there's only one orange. What am I going to do with one orange?
I expect listeners who are on Twitter a few days ago would have seen the picture which Rachel's just about to take now. And there we go. Now, Yes, please tweet it now so our listeners can...
That is so cool.
This is all time distortion. Joe.
Okay, so, right, back to more interesting stuff. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was anyone who, if you've listened to the, I think it was the Science on Top podcast from a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I was on there a couple of weeks ago talking about BPA or bisphenol, which people have probably heard mentioned in the media. And I'm absolutely fascinated by this topic because I think it's just such an astounding example of poor science reporting and an absolute media fail. The particular study that we talked about a few weeks ago on Science on Top was a fantastic study which came out, which has been, which was really seen as being an absolutely, almost flawless piece of science, which demonstrated the safety of BPA. Now, if you been following this all in the media, you'd know that there's a lot of concern about bisphenol. It's a chemical that's found in the lining of cans and a lot of plastic water bottles and all sorts of things. And for quite a number of years now, there's been a lot of concern over whether BPA is toxic to humans. Of particular concern is that it has hormone effects like estrogen, and that there's the potential for it to cause cancer and other health problems. So there's been a huge number of studies over the last few years, and it's really quite an interesting scientific controversy. What's particularly interesting is that depending on which part of the world you're in, there either is or isn't a controversy. Right. So if you go over to the US or Canada, there's a really, really strong push to ban BPA, whereas if you go over to the EU, there is a feeling that the science has absolutely almost conclusively shown that BPA is safe and there's nothing to worry about. So what got me all jumping up and down today was a study's just come out in the Journal of the American Association, or JAMA, which looked at the levels of BPA in people's urine after eating soup, canned soup.
Right.
And all over the news, there's a whole lot of hysteria because what they've said is the urine of people who consume canned soup can contain surprisingly high levels of BPA, or hormone-disrupting compound linked to health problems, including heart disease, diabetes, and obesity.
So it's the conclusion right at the start.
Yes. So panic. There's high levels of BPA in urine, and the conclusion is, therefore, we know BPA is toxic and there's high levels in urine, so run for the hills, And by the way, I must thank Ed Brown from Science on Top for pointing this out to me today.
Thank you, Ed.
The problem with this is that the really, really good research into BPA, the methodologically sound science, has shown that BPA is rapidly excreted from the body and metabolized and excreted very, very quickly, and that it's not surprising that you see high levels of BPA in the urine after people consume it because it's excreted.
It's going away, yes.
It's going away. And there was a fantastic study by T. Gordon, which was published in the Journal of Toxicological Sciences about 6 months ago, and it really conclusively showed that BPA does not stick around in the body long enough to cause problems. It's unlikely to be found at high levels in human tissues, and therefore it's not something to worry about. And there have been a number of really, really good studies that have shown this. That aside, if you go online, you will find not a beep about the good studies. What you will find is a lot of media hysteria about studies which are pretty poorly conducted, not well controlled, really not actually telling us anything of value except creating fear. So
it seems to be a storm in a soup tin.
Absolutely. So, this is getting a lot of attention online at the moment, and I just think it's really worth keeping an eye on it because the thing is that there's measures being taken by a lot of governments to ban BPA. Steve, and as I mentioned previously, Steve Novella blogged about this a couple of years ago. They, at the time there was more to talk about here. It was a controversy that was worth looking at, but really now the science seems to be, quite settled. There is nothing to be worried about, but still, we're looking at banning a substance unnecessarily. We're creating fear, particularly amongst parents, and who worry about their kids being exposed to this stuff. Yeah. And I think it's, yeah.
Well, your highlighter has been used to very good use there, effect. And, well, I think we'll wrap up this think tank pretty soon, but let's switch over to Eran for a second, because at the top of the think tank we did mention our convention, which was a great success. And we, of course, as we do every year in our convention, we give out awards. Cheers and jeers, they might say.
Yes, so the first award we gave, the Ben Spoon Award, which we awarded to Melbourne University RMIT. And the reason we gave them that award, which is an annual award, we always have a problem with that award because there's always so many good candidates, unfortunately, was because they have a fundamentalist chiropractic education program. And again, I hesitate to say education in this context, but at least that's what they call it. And not only do they support fundamentalist chiropractors, they also have an on-campus pediatric chiropractic clinic. So I think they're well deserving of the Ben Spoon Award. So in addition to the Ben Spoon Award, we also we gave a dishonourable mention to Blackmores and to the Pharmacy Guild of Australia for the deal that they concocted to try to sell unproven medication, or, well, I'm not sure medication, unproven stuff. To people who come to pharmacies to buy specific, real, proven pharmaceuticals. Yeah. And but the reason we didn't give it to them eventually was because it caused them so much harm that we thought of actually giving them positive mention for causing so much harm to that kind of medication. We said we were jokingly saying that we will give Christine Holgate, the Blackmore CEO, the Coke and Fries Award, because she said that these additives are like the Coke and Fries of pharmacies. So that didn't go down very well with the public, and it was very good. So that's the Ben Spoon Award. We then awarded several nice ones. The first one was we gave special recognition to TV journalist Frank Parangallo, who's Rach and Richard, very well. You've worked with him. He's a TV journalist with Channel 7's Today Tonight in Adelaide. We don't usually see very good scientific stuff from Today Tonight, but Frank has done several.
The Adelaide, they're a different group from the Sydney group.
Yes,
but nevertheless.
But it's still good. Yeah. It's still Today Tonight is generally. However you put it, it's tabloid television, and you don't particularly expect accuracy and science. But Frank has done good work, fantastic work, and he's done several really good stories, and he continues to follow what we do in the skeptical movement.
And I
Australian
think there's
Skeptics.
more to come.
And absolutely, there's more to come, and that's something I mentioned when I gave him the award. So he wasn't there, unfortunately, but we will send him the certificate of appreciation. Then Skeptic of the Year was awarded to Loretta Marin, who has already been awarded. The Jelly Bean Lady. She's already been awarded in the past, in 2007. But the thing is, Loretta could easily win every year. We just give it to others from time to time because it's just not fair. She's so active and she's just so brilliant. And specifically, this was for her work against chiropractors this year, and especially against fundamentalist chiropractors. And again, I mentioned them. They're the ones who still believe in the vertebral subluxation complex as the cause of. Some of them believe it's most disease, and others believe it's all disease. But whatever it is, it's a mythical syndrome, a mythical symptom or condition or whatever you can call it. Because it's mythical, it's difficult to define. But some people still believe it, and they're quite prominent within the chiropractic movement. And she's really taking them to task, and will continue to do so, I'm sure. We also have the Thornett Award for the Promotion of Reason, which we call the FRED, and that's for the way we describe it is that. It's awarded to acknowledges a member of the public or a public figure who has made a significant contribution to educating or informing the public regarding issues of science and reason. And in addition to a certificate, we also give $1,000 to the person who wins this. And this year's winner was hands down Ken Harvey, Dr. Ken Harvey, our friend, for his work against SensorSlim. But really, it's sort of an accumulation of his work over many years. Of taking quacks to task, and also in being a thorn in the side of the TGA in particular, the ACCC. I think it was we were giving the awards just before the panel. And I said, he's been a thorn in their side, and I'm sure he will continue to be a thorn in their side in about 7 more minutes. So that was very good. And then we surprised Barry Williams. I called him on the stage. He didn't know anything was coming. He wasn't even going to attend the conference. And of course, Barry's been behind the Australian skeptics and the skeptical movement in Australia for the past, basically for the entire duration of its existence,
since the very early 80s.
Yes, and he is, he's been a very important person in the skeptical movement in Australia, and he wasn't going to miss this convention for the first time after attending every single one of the first 26. So I asked him to say a few words about the Ben Spoon Award. Mm-hmm. So he thought he was going to say a few words about the Ben Spoon Award. Then I said, no, we actually don't want to hear what you have to say about the Ben Spoon Award. He was kind of shocked a little bit, I think. And we gave him a Life Achievement Award. And because he's, in addition to the certificate, because he's a cricket fanatic, I think is a good way of saying it, we gave him a replica Ashes urn with the words to Barry Williams for a lifetime of skepticism. And he was really touched by it, which was really nice.
It was a lovely little gesture, I thought. Yes, he was absolutely. Always a highlight of the convention, the awards every year. Can't wait to see who wins the Ben Spoon. Always great fun. It's been great fun to have a think tank away from our favourite club. So, no bus announcements.
I know.
You might have.
Do you want me to make a bus announcement?
No, it's all right. Listeners can imagine a bus announcement. But I'm sure the next think tank will be back at some busy, noisy club with bus announcements or some such thing. Dr. Rachie, you better get home and jump back into bed with your chicken soup and measles.
Yeah, I just also want to add that I think Lawrence Lean did a great job at the convention too. So big shout out to him.
Hi, Lawrence.
He absolutely did.
He did the dinner talk. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Quite a few people came. Obviously, not everybody attended the dinner. Not everybody who attended the conference attended the dinner. But there were close to 100 people at the dinner, and I think everyone said this was their favourite part of the day, and it was great fun.
Jo, thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard.
Have fun with your highlighter.
Yes, my highlighters. Oh, they're wonderful. I'll take them on the plane with me.
I've already tweeted them.
I'm off to find Wu in Peru.
You're off to find Wu in Peru. And Eran, thank you for having us in your lounge room.
You're most welcome.
We have no glasses to clink, but until our next think tank, thank you, everybody.
We can knock on wood or something.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. And thank you to all those people who've been far too kind congratulating me personally for the state of power balance in the United States because they've gone into bankruptcy. It's very kind of you. I only did a little part in exposing the scam that is power balance, but I will see what's happening. But it's occasionally it's good to see some success. It really is. And I'm not wearing my power balance. I'm wearing my placebo band. Oh, don't forget. Placebo band, the real thing. Or the real fake thing. The real fake thing? Anyway, you know what I mean. Well, after that interesting show, I need to lie down for at least a week. And then I'll get up again and I'll try to produce another Skeptic Zone, which will be 162. Until then, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.
The Skeptic Zone.